to say something. Lightweight, step at the side when we come in. Feel it in your chest, the syllables get pumping. People on the street get panic and start running. Words on loose leaf sheet, complete coming. I jump on my mind, I summon the rhyme, I'm dumping. Healing the blind, I promise to let the sun in. Sick of the dark ways, we march to the drumming. Jump when they tell us that they want to see jumping. Dad, I want to see some fist pumping. Risk something, take back what's yours. Say something that you know they might attack you for. Cause I'm sick of being treated like I had before. Like a stupid standing for what I'm standing for. Like this war's really just a different brand of war. Like it doesn't cater to rich.
All right, guys, welcome to WideAwakeNews Radio. I'm your host, Charlie McGrath. It's the 23rd day of January, Wednesday, and man, am I excited about the guests we have on tonight's program. You know, Karen, who hosts Karen's Corner every Friday, she has been on my case, politely, of course, and persistently, to get this panel of ladies together, and she finally got it done, got it pulled off. So joining us in just a minute is going to be Deborah Tavares of StopTheCrimes.net, Dinah Everett-Snyder of The Devil's in the Details, and Kristen Megan, activist, is going to do her best to join us later. I know I put out a promotional video saying all three of these ladies would be in. Kristen had some stuff come up, but she's going to try to make it into the program here in a little bit. And we're going to talk about everything from, Deborah Tavares is going to bring us up to speed or at least comment on the Iron Mountain conspiracy, which has been in the forefront of alternative media recently, for sure. Dinah Everett-Snyder is doing the most, I believe, critical work for kids who have been brought up in Generation Kill, in helping these people, helping these veterans come back and deal with their issues in a non-psychotropic environment and in a way that really helps these people. And I'm excited to get an update on her, what was once a successful 6-person experiment, if you will, and now is a 30-person. So we're going to get updates on that. And Kristen Megan, who is used to be in the military, has worked for the government, expert on many different topics. Hopefully, we can get her on here as well and introduce these ladies to one another and get some real information out there tonight. So if you're listening and not in the chat room, and by the way, this panel will be with us for the entire 2 hours. Right now, we have 63 people in the chat room. If you want to join us, WideAwakeNews.com. Click on the microphone in the right-hand side. That will take you into chat. With this panel, this many people talking, I've talked to both of these ladies before, and you know what? They could host a program without me, without a doubt. They're able to go on and deliver all kinds of information. The reason I'm prefacing this or telling you this is because I won't be taking phone calls tonight. I will be monitoring in the chat room. I believe Deborah and Dinah are in the chat room as well, but I'll be in there and try to pull questions out of there for the guests tonight. And you know what? I can't think I can't think of a better time to talk about the topics that we're going to cover tonight. The news coming out today. We're talking about kicking the debt ceiling down the road. We're talking about putting more debt on the backs of the people of the United States. We're talking about basically forfeiting our ability to have any sort of sovereignty whatsoever, and certainly have no ability to control our own financial destiny. We see this unfolding every day. We see it unfolding, and it has been unfolding for going on 5 years now in talking about the 2008 bailouts that continue to this very day. More and more legislation written by and for bankers, more and more poverty being issued to the people of the world, and future pain guaranteed to be coming in the way of sovereign debt. And you add to this the never-ending pounding of the drums of war. More and more and more war being waged in our name, more people dying, more people coming home broken, more and more terror that is being unleashed on the world in our name, right? And with this, we're going to have more and more broken, damaged people coming home. And Dinah Everett-Snyder, like I said, is doing, as far as I'm concerned, the best work in the field of trying to help our veterans, not dope them up, not bring them home and fill them full of chemicals and wait and see what kind of time bomb goes off, but truly helping these people. So let's get with it. I'm not going to do a big long monologue rant tonight. I want to get these ladies going. I'd like to start the program, Deborah, if it's all right with you, with talking about, first of all, I don't know if you've met Dinah not before, Deborah Tavares, Dinah Everett Snyder. Both of you, welcome to the program. I would like to start off, let me say, by getting onto the topic of the Iron Mountain conspiracy. But ladies, welcome to the program. Thank you very much for joining me. And thank you very much for committing to 2 hours. That's a lot of time out of your schedule. Thank you.
Well, it certainly is, Charlie, and this is Deborah speaking, and I want to thank you so much for having me on tonight during such an important time in our history. America, unfortunately, is being met with a tyrannical force, and it's spelled out very, very clearly in a number of source documents that we have on our website. And I'd like everybody to take a minute and know that on our website, stopthecrime.net, we have the Iron Mountain, A Blueprint for Tyranny, up there as a documentary that people can view. I can't urge anyone more important to sit down and watch this. This is where we are now. The final half hour or so of this documentary tells you what was planned, what the agenda was, and what is happening to the United States. We are being taken over, and it was an agenda planned decades and decades ago. To support the Iron Mountain documentary or report, there's another extremely important document. It's called Silent Weapon for Quiet Wars. And that was a 1954 Bilderberg policy that was adopted at their first meeting. It declares war. War was declared a long time ago, and in that document it states that it is a military war that was launched in secret, and you will see that it says the Third World War, called Quiet War, is being conducted using subjective biological warfare, but with silent weapons. And I cannot urge everyone to read that. We'll be going over the high points of these documents. The next document is called the NWO Plans Exposed by an Insider in 1969. And the next document we'll cover a bit tonight as well, because they all interlace and they're all critically important to see how these all work in tandem right now on planet Earth, where we're all trying to continue to live. It's called the NASA War Document, and it's up on our site. It's a little over 100 pages, and it takes your breath away. So because we started, Charlie, with discussion on the Iron Mountain report, I'd like to cover some of that to start with. And essentially, the Iron Mountain...
But hold on a sec, Deborah. Before you do, let me... have you and Dinah been on a program together? Have you guys met?
No, we haven't. Hi. Hi.
Dinah Everett Snyder, meet Deborah Tavares. Dinah's website is Devil in the Details, which is, let me make sure I give it out right. It is a DinahEverettSnyder.wordpress.com. And it's going to tie in, Deborah, to exactly what you're talking about, because you're 100% right, and I was probably wrong. Not probably, I was wrong calling it the Iron Mountain conspiracy, because it's not a conspiracy, right? It's not a conspiracy theory.
No, it's an absolute agenda, Charlie, that is being carried out right now to the full letter of what was intended. And speaking about what I know will be covered, is we do have, and you've probably seen it, Beyond Treason. Mm-hmm. And people can view that on stopthecrime.net up on the video tab. So if you haven't seen what is happening to our soldiers being done deliberately and intentionally, that is a documentary that is very important to see. But what we're experiencing now is absolutely unthinkable. And before we started the show tonight, because I'm doing quite a bit of research right now in artificial intelligence and robotics, I stumbled across something that, quite frankly, I'm still trying to recover from as I start this show. But I'm going to go right into Iron Mountain, and I'll actually tell you what I stumbled onto a bit later.
Okay, very good. And Dinah, I know you're, by your accent, you're a polite British lady, and feel free to jump in if you'd like to comment while we start talking about Iron Mountain. Again, I mean, some of the work you're doing, I think, is critical, because as this agenda plays out, more and more people are coming back in a state that is not acceptable for our fellow Americans. Again, the websites that I've dropped into the chat room, stopthecrimes.net and DinahEverettSnyder.wordpress.com. Both of those are in the chat room right now. We're going to be back with these two fine ladies in just a few minutes. Please hang tight. Charlie McGrath of WideAwakeNews.com here with a question for my friends at Austin Rare Coins and Bullion. What do they know that we don't? Insiders and a who's who list of elite have made it crystal clear that we are headed for catastrophe, putting out warning after warning, urging people to batten down the hatches. Billionaire George Soros has recently been dumping stocks and at the same time acquiring millions in gold. In fact, in a recent interview, he was quoted as saying, "I'm not here to cheer you up. The situation is as serious and difficult as I've experienced in my career." Out of control government deficit spending and a Federal Reserve that's only solution seems to be print more fiat currency will lead to a weaker dollar and massive inflation on necessity items such as energy and food. If you have wealth to protect, please visit my friends at Austin Rare Coins and Bullion. Gabe Elton and the folks at Austin Rare Coins and Bullion have many Wide Awake News customers because they're honest, they're fair, and they won't sell you paper promises or product they do not have. Call Gabe Elton at 800-552-4109. That number again, 800-552-4109, or visit them online at austincoins.com.
Remember this name, Carnivora. That's CARNIVORA.com. What if I told you that this 100% pure and natural product was delivered directly to the White House at President Reagan's personal request at a time when only the president was able to obtain it? Reagan used this amazing product, Carnivora, successfully, a product derived only from nature that has the intelligence to instinctively attack abnormal cells only without harming a single normal cell, and the power to actually wake up critical immune cells from dormancy to attack foreign invaders that don't belong in our bodies. Carnivora is now obtainable by anyone who wants to get healthy and stay that way. Call 1-866-VENUS-FLY and protect yourself with 17 naturally occurring compounds that will unleash powerful immune defense. That's 1-866-VENUS-FLY. Call 1-866-VENUS-FLY and get your Carnivora today. Visit carnivora.com. It's a real pleasure to introduce you to permaculture, a new concept that can allow all of us to survive these times of crisis, economically and with food, water, and energy in a healthy and abundant fashion. How? By establishing the amazing permaculture food forests. With one simple, fun, fascinating step-by-step guide, you can become completely confident about survival with permaculture. Food forests and permaculture are productive, life-saving technologies for any climate in both urban and rural settings. Jeff Lawton is the world's foremost permaculture authority, teacher, designer, and consultant. Jeff has successfully worked in many countries, cultures, and different climates, helping people survive with permaculture. Come and enjoy an exclusive aerial guided video tour with Jeff of his water harvesting swales, dams, and food forests. Go to jefflawton.org to view this fascinating free video on how to survive and prosper with permaculture. That's GEOFFLAWTON.org.
All right, guys, welcome back to Wide Awake News Radio. You know, the two ladies we have on here now, Deborah Tavares and Dinah Everett-Snyder, and Krista Megan, who hopefully will be joining us later, have been, without a doubt, some of the most asked about return guests on the program. So if you're here tonight to hear more about the treatment that Dinah is key in implementing, or hang tight, because we're going to get to, we have 2 hours with these ladies. We're going to get to all topics. Again, let me give the websites out real quick again. Deborah Travers, stopthecrimes.net, DinahEverettSnyder.wordpress.com. Let's get into Iron Mountain, the non-conspiracy, the agenda unfolding. Go ahead.
Yes, Charlie, let me just make a correction. It is Stop the Crime, singular, stopthecrime.net.
Thank you.
And we are also, we have toxicsky.org. That's equally important in this conversation tonight, toxicsky.org, and refusesmartmeters.com. And
Right.
they're all in a combination of a massive, massive silent war of frequencies and a totalitarian takedown of our United States. And essentially, the Iron Mountain talks about the New World Order. And it is a system that recognizes absolutely, it has no limit on its authority, with forced control over every single aspect of public and private life. It has no regards for ethics, morality, or life itself. The New World Order, or the elites, or the rich men of the world, as the report calls them, controls media, politics, economy, speech, and engages in widespread use of propaganda campaigns and total surveillance. The system stays in power through mass terror. And the information that you're going to be hearing tonight is intended to inform you.
Okay, let's get into it.
Yeah, not to create terror, and that is an important note to keep in mind. The Iron Mountain Report began under the Kennedy administration, and it was ordered as a top-down secret study to determine the problems facing the United States if the world moved from a time of war into a golden age of peace. And by 1963, selection of specialists were made, and the final study consisted of about 15 experts in various academic disciplines, and they were selected for their expertise. The first and last meetings were held in an underground nuclear survival retreat called Iron Mountain. The study concluded in 1966, and it was given to then Lyndon Johnson, because, of course, Kennedy was assassinated previously. Mm-hmm. And it was given to him, and he gave the order that the report was never to be released due to the nature of the conclusions reached. And one of the men involved in the study elected to release it to the public, of course at great risk to himself. And at the time, because it was so outrageous, the establishment renounced it as a hoax, but it was no hoax. When you watch and listen to this unfold this evening, you will see that everything that was described as the agenda in the Iron Mountain is happening. It is hard to obtain, but you can still order it as a book. And the Iron Mountain is a covert agenda to bring
hold on a sec. Deborah, hold on a sec. We're getting some kind of feedback and coughing. Is that on your end?
Coughing too.
Okay.
No.
Okay. And people probably think it's me because I'm coughing all the time, but it's not me. So I don't know if we have a microphone on, or if someone's got a cold. I apologize for stopping you, but I just thought I should make you guys aware that we have that feedback coming in. Dinah, have you heard of the Iron Mountain report before? Before we get to roll?
Absolutely, of course. Who hasn't? But
right.
Most people have dismissed it over time,
right.
and it's very important to bring it up and keep talking about it, because yes, it was originally claimed to be a hoax and a disinformation. But once you read it, and once you start looking around, and once you become aware, you realize exactly that. It is being copied literally word for word.
Right.
It's hard for some people to understand exactly and to relate to Iron Mountain. And what I have found when I discuss it with people is if you take them through what they can understand, So, for example, our government, American government, started a program in the 50s that was Better Living Through Chemistry. It was called the Better Living Through Chemistry era, and if you page through old National Geographics, old magazines from the 40s and the 50s, there's a lot of advertising that actually quotes that, Better Living Through Chemistry. And, that's when DDT and chemicals were first used in abundance, when they started promoting all these things as safe and usable and available for everybody. And that's where it started. So when Deborah talks about a silent war, a quiet war, that's really what it is in part. And everyone, it's not just the military. They have become today, right now, they are the canary. They are the yellow canary in the minefield of our lives, because
no doubt about it.
Exposure is so extremely high. But we are
hold on one sec.
We're inundated.
Dinah, hold on one sec. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Deborah, let's start into some of the tenets of the Iron Mountain Accord, we could call it, this agenda that's unplaying before our eyes. We're going to be back with Deborah Tavares and Dinah Everett Snyder and more Wide Awake News Radio. Please hang tight. Charlie McGrath, Wide Awake News here. When it comes to freeze-dried, storable food, there's a lot of companies you can choose from. So please, allow me to introduce you to the best. Buy Emergency Foods Legacy Premium is hands down the best in the industry. They're the only company that is 100% certified GMO-free. They're the only company that has 0 MSGs. They have no artificial flavors, and they're the only company that puts an oxygen absorber into every nitrogen-flushed Mylar pouch. And coming in at about $3,900 for a year's supply, they're the best value in the industry at about half the going rate. Guys, Legacy Premium truly stands alone as the best freeze-dried storable food on the market, plain and simple. But don't take my word for it. Call them yourself at 888-543-7345. The number again, 888-543-7345. Or view their comparable charts today at buyemergencyfoods.com.
You're listening to Charlie nationwide and worldwide on the internet on the Rense Radio Network.
Most Americans are simply rolling over to the ruthless Orwellian surveillance state video cams that now watch nearly our every move. But now, thanks to the brand new Justice Caps, there is a way to reclaim at least some of your constitutional right to privacy. Whenever you wear your good-looking Justice Cap, you become essentially invisible to all surveillance cams. This new technology enables anybody to defeat Big Brother's cams and conceal your facial identity in plain sight. You can now decide who sees your face on camera and begin to live free again. Join us in the move to reclaim our Constitution and take a look at the remarkable, completely legal new technology at justicecaps.com. That's justicecaps.com.
Heart-related health problems affect millions of people each year. Maybe you're one of the many who suffer from issues related to angina pain, high blood pressure, congestive heart failure, unbalanced cholesterol, irregular heartbeat, or clogged arteries. There is a solution that doesn't involve expensive prescription drugs that only mask the problem and leave you with horrible side effects. If you are ready to live your life free of sickness, pain, and fear, live your life with increased vitality, energy, and youthfulness, and experience your body healing itself, then you're ready for Heart and Body Extract from Healthy Hearts Club. Heart and Body Extract has a 23-year proven track record of using certified organic herbs that make up an excellent formula to balance and support the heart and circulatory system. In as little as 2 weeks, you can feel amazing results when your 2-month supply of Heart and Body Extract today. Call 1-866-295-5305 or go to hbextract.com.
The floor.
right, welcome back to Wide Awake News Radio. I'm Charlie McGrath, joined by Deborah Tavares, Dinah Everett-Snyder, and guys, if you're wondering why, if you're in the chat room wondering why there's no JTV feed, we're not broadcasting on Justin TV tonight, so we're just going out, of course, on the Rinse Radio Network and the other outlets that pick up that feed. And I'm writing questions down during the breaks, guys. And Karen's in there as well. She's popping in and out, so she'll try to get questions to me as well that I can ask the ladies. And I've written a few of them down, and I'll make sure we get into those. But let's get going, Deborah. With somebody's asking the trigger events. What are they going to be? They're ongoing. I mean, we're ongoing around. Tell us some of the.
They absolutely are. The Iron Mountain report is an invention of mass pollution to create the glue that is fear, to cause global society to become completely polarized by the control of the elite. They say in the Iron Mountain report they will invent pollution, and they will call it global warming. And they say in there that it has to be a universal threat of equal magnitude as that of world war, with immediate loss of life and the immediate threat of bloodshed, and it must be a credible hoax. It must be accepted by the vast majority of the population of the entire world. And this is the heart of the problem that they are developing in the Iron Mountain report as a substitute for war. And what they talk about is the Earth Summit. We saw Agenda 21 in 1992 in Rio de Janeiro come into play in the United States. And now we see under the Wildlands map, which is on our website, it is a biodiversity treaty, and you can see the map of the United States. It's on our site, called the Wildlands Project map. And you can see the core reserves where human access will be denied. And this is all in part over the Iron Mountain report, because they will take away all private property. And we see that happening in many ways throughout the country right now. On the map, you will see buffer zones of highly restricted human use, and then you will see human settlement reservations. So when they have the movie The Hunger Games, that is essentially what these human reservations may very possibly look like. It calls for massive depopulation, because they say that war has always been a useful reduction of population.
Why do you think then, in this case, the whole premise was, what do we do when we're no longer at war? What do we do in the emergency, quote, of peace? We need to develop this plan. And I mean, it's kind of the ultimate end game, right? I mean, we'll lead the world to through a series of wars. Every time we do, a smaller group of people becomes more enriched, more emboldened, more powerful. But the end game has always been about control, and it's what do you do in a case of the point technology is now. I think they understood when they were meeting on this that you can't launch World War III without destroying everything. So this immersion into Agenda 21, into the principles of Iron Mountain, is what we've seen over the last several decades.
Well, there's no question, Charlie. As a matter of fact, they talk about war as a requirement. It's a balancing system by killing the true creditors, the public, which have been taught to exchange true value for inflated currency. And then we've always had to fall back on whatever is left of the resources of nature and the regeneration of those resources. But what we see now is the intentional polluting by the elite. They're dumping, they say that they will deforest us in the Iron Mountain report. And we can see with the overhead geoengineering spraying, they are in the process of deforesting us. And they talk about how this glue is necessary in order to hold the people together globally in the framework of fear. And we can leap for just a moment, because we're talking about technology now, and you mentioned that just a moment ago, Charlie. And, of course, the Iron Mountain Report was written in the 60s, and also was the Silent Weapons Report or document policy, and they all rely upon mass computer capability. Everything we see now is all based on computers. It's a massive data collection scheme. And we see that with the global smart grid. They want data on us. It's being massively obtained. It is not private.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You talk about the smart grid. We had you on before talking about the smart meter scenarios that you've been involved in. But, for 1 second to think that this build-out, this security state build-out, the fusion centers, the 30,000 drones, this is all about data and control. This is all about knowing what you're doing, how you're doing it, what you're spending, what you're using, what you're consuming, and how to use this information to better manage you like you are nothing but an animal. Dinah, I want to get you in on this because I feel bad you're sitting there silent. Give us your take on the progression of the Iron Mountain Report and where we're at at this point in time.
Well, don't feel bad, Charlie. It's fascinating. I came to this through medicine, through treating people and realizing that so much of what was wrong with them was actually a result of the medications that they were on and was not the original disease. As you know, I started with autism and working with autistic children who were having terrible issues on the pharmaceutical drugs that they were on. And once you got them off of those and you were treating actual symptoms, you saw a decline in original symptoms. I see the same thing with veterans that are returning, that are in dire straits, whether they're on actual pharmaceuticals at the time that they come to me or not. And it all boils down to this toxic load that we all have. And going back to what I had said, this had all been introduced by the Better Living Through Chemistry. And if you take a look at the largest petrochemical companies in the world, of course, BASF is right up there, as is Dow Chemicals, all the big names, DuPont, Chevron, all of those. And they all are very heavily vested as petrochemical companies. Their subdivisions are all in pharmaceuticals and genetically modified organisms, seeds, all sorts of things like that. We tend to think of them all as individual companies, but they're not, because no matter which pharmaceutical company you look at, no matter which pesticide company you look at, if you trace back the origin, it all goes back to the petrochemical companies. Then you look at who was around and who was in charge and who was on the board of directors at the time that Iron Mountain documents and others like that came into being. Who was involved with the John Birch Society, for example. It's all the same people, and they've handed on the reins to the next person, and it's a very silent group. We call them, the Club of Rome, Europe's black nobility, the Club of 300, and
the Trilateral,
Yes, the Trilateral Commission. And then there's a video on YouTube that you can go to, and Robert Welch created the John Birch Society in 1958. And in 1954, he said a few things that are very, very interesting, because here we are in 2013, and all these things have come to pass. What he had said in where does he see the world going in the future? And he itemized it. He said, be careful, because there's an element that's going to introduce the gradual surrender of American society to international business organizations.
We have that posted on our website.
Okay, ladies, let's hold it there. We're going to pick up on that on the backside of this break. We're going to be right back with Deborah Tavares and Dinah Everett-Snyder. More Wide Awake News Radio. Fascinating. Hang tight.
Tell me again, can you feel it? Hey guys, Charlie McGrath here at WideAwakeNews.com, and I'm here to tell you I believe that Chris and the folks over at SeedsNow.com offer the best product at the best prices with the best service of anybody in the market. But don't take my word for it. Listen to what some of their customers have to say. Joshua in Florida writes, exceeded my expectations. Shipping was prompt and a number of my plants are already starting to sprout. Thanks for being great. And Ryan in California writes, I just received my homestead seed bank, my all-in-one prepper pack, and seed-to-seed storage and growing guidebook, and I could not be more pleased. Thanks, Seeds Now. Now I can start growing and get off the GMOs. Keep up the great work. And the list goes on and on. Guys, it's time to make SeedsNow.com an integral part of your long-term preparedness strategy. Please call them at 877-344-4669. That number again, 877-344-4669. Or better yet, visit them today at SeedsNow.com.
If you're taking 1, 2, 5, or more nutritional supplements, please stop. Simplify your supplementation with Bio Superfood, the most advanced nutritional whole food supplement you can buy. Men, women, children, even Olympic athletes the world over have discovered Bio Superfood from BioAge.com. And now take just one nutritional supplement instead of many. The Bio Superfood formulas are whole food products composed with 4 of the most nutrient-dense algae found on Earth. Bio Superfood for the brain helps with focus, memory, clarity, and mood. If you can increase brain health, the rest of the body is a no-brainer. Bio Superfood has 0 toxicity and is safe for you and your family. Learn more and order your Bio Superfood formulas at BioAge.com, spelled BIOAGE.com, BioAge.com, or call 877-288-9116. That's 877-288-9116. BioAge, the age of advanced organics.
Are you or someone that you love struggling to reclaim your health? My name is Matthew David Hurtado, CEO of RNAdrops.com. In 2008, I struggled with chronic fatigue syndrome, PTSD, and Lyme's. I thought that all hope was gone as I lost everything in the process. In 2009, a miracle happened. I discovered Ion and RNA drops. 2 months after taking RNA drops, the chronic fatigue and the PTSD had vanished into thin air. I'd like to invite you to discover RNA drops by visiting www.rnafreemini.com today. That's rnafreemini.com today. Listen to hours of testimonials and get a free trial bottle. Pay only shipping and handling by visiting www.rnafreemini.com.
Or give us a call at 1-888-550-8231. That's 888-550-8231. Hurry, supplies are limited.
Make a promise, take a vow, trust your feelings, it's easy now. Understand the voice within and feel a change already beginning.
Welcome back to Wide Awake News Radio. Charlie McGrath, joined by Deborah Everett Snyder and Dinah Everett Snyder and Deborah Tavares, talking about Iron Mountain. At the moment, you know, you've set Deborah, you set the groundwork, you know, for this Iron Mountain meeting that came up with a plan what we're going to do in place of war. And these things are, you know, the things you talked about are unveiling. But please continue. You know, you're talking about we talked about population control. We've talked about these
intentional polluting of the planet.
Yes, no-go zones, Agenda 21. Keep going.
Yes, they're regionalizing all our government. We will not have local city government. It's all being merged now as we speak. We see it happening locally in our town. It's all over the nation. We're going to be federalized. That is the intention. It's happening at breakneck speed right now.
It's happening right now. It's ongoing. You think this the gun control and all the hype it's getting has anything to do with mass shootings? Forget about it.
Well, I can tell you that right now, Agenda 21, which has now just been renamed Future Earth because it was getting a bad rap, and people were starting to understand that UN Agenda 21 was a really bad thing. And ICLEI, International Council for Local Environmental Initiatives, has been brought forth to all of our cities nationwide. But covertly now, through executive order, there is a climate action plan that has been mandated. Every city has to sign on to this. And this climate action plan is virtually the same thing as ICLEI or Agenda 21. You can check to see if your city, and you would call the planning department and find out if they're working on their climate action plan right now. It requires monitoring of greenhouse gas, reductions of everything that you know in your way of life. This is an absolute resource grab, land grab. They have pumped the United States, and now they are dumping us, just like any third world country. And the regionalization, well, we're going to be broken up into districts, and you can see that will be happening as the Iron Mountain report continues to bring the truth of what is happening. But what I wanted to tell you was what Kennedy said at that time. And he said there's a plot in this country to enslave every man, woman, and child. Before I leave this high, noble office, I intend to expose this plot. And I can tell you that that is what this plan is about. It is total enslavement, absolutely, totally monitoring everything you do. We hear about the RFID chips. We hear about the seeing you in your homes through your appliances. We know that the microwaves that are now being emitted in our environment are a weapon of war. It's also part of depopulation. We talk about that with the huge crop up of cell phone towers nationwide, disguised in every unconceivable way. When you go onto our website, you can click on to Barry Trower, Trower, and take a look at what these weapons of war are being actually installed in your cities, in your neighborhoods right now, are intending to do to you.
No doubt about it. And every time you're on, I end up spending till 3 o'clock in the morning going over your website because you remind me, every time I hear you, you remind me of the resources you have there. Dinah, you see in the medical industry, you see the results of these plans coming to fruition, correct?
Absolutely. Every day.
Go ahead. You're what's that? You're seeing the results.
Well, I do, and the most striking one for me has been everyone in the autistic community, and it's the epiphany of parents when they get their children off the pharmaceuticals. Because here's what happens: you have a child with autism; they're not performing up to their level and their potential. You take them to the doctor, and once they've given a diagnosis of autism, the doctor's job is done. He wipes his hands. He gives you a referral to a behavioral specialist. When you take your child to a behavioral specialist, all they want to do is medicate and modify the behavior. They are not interested, and nor are they qualified to deal with the myriad health issues that autistic children suffer from. And again, not all autistic children suffer from the same types of disease.
Is this engineering? I mean, but is this,
Yes, it is engineering. It is engineering.
It is. I have a high-functioning autistic granddaughter, so I understand exactly what you're saying. And I can just refer you quickly, if I could jump in for a minute, because on the NASA war document that we have on our site, on page 9, they talk about genetically engineering and actually creating evolution. And they talk about the mind children. And this is the autistic community, this entire absolute landslide of autism, creating an absolute separate community, is part of the engineering towards robots, in the sense that these children are not reciprocal. They are generally live a life pretty solo. They generally don't marry. They generally don't have the emotions that their normal peers have. And when I was telling you, when you opened up the show, that I had read something that was extremely disturbing, this is a good time for me to bring that in. And I will be posting it on my site. It is a teacher's guide. It's a 13-week series. And they talk about the natural struggle between teens and their parents will become amplified. how the stress that children feel in school and society will qualify when trying to compete with enhanced humans, how professionals like medical doctors will be employed as spokespersons for human enhancement, how government agencies such as child welfare services will ultimately be involved in protecting a child's right to basic modifications deemed necessary for health and social interaction. And they talk about how...
And modification is those drugs that are going to allow them...
they're actually talking about transhumanism and changing our DNA and creating a robot society. The elites disdain humans. They feel, and you will see on the NASA document that we have on our site, they say that on page 66 of that NASA document, they say humans, increasingly critical are human limitations and downsides. Humans are too large, too heavy, too tender, too slow physically and mentally. We require too great of cost, and humans have rapidly decreasing to negative value. And they are going to have robots in the large. You can see many of our institutions around the United States have been given considerable grants to creating robots, super soldiers, crossing our DNA with animals. It is an unbelievable time that we're witnessing. And in this document, it said, they also say, how will departments such as the Department of Education broaden definitions of special needs children to include those that are unenhanced? Yeah. So the whole conversation of special needs around autism and just normal children is changing, because we are actually, our DNA is being modified as we speak. It's all part of the geoengineering program overhead. You can go to toxicsky.org. You can take a listen to Genocide from the Sky. You can listen to what some other speakers have said on that website. We are in a transition, and when you look at that NASA war document, it is very, very plain. They talk about using microdust as weapons, that it will bore through our lung tissue, and it will execute various pathological missions. But they say this is a wholly new class of weaponry, which is legal.
Yeah, and as you talk about we're in a time of transition, I agree with you 100%. I think the warning cry should be, anybody listening to this, that it isn't any longer the frog in the pot, right? It is boiling. This transition is hit a velocity that is absolutely unbelievable, and that's why, Dinah, that's why we see the evolving descriptions of what a lot of ailments were rare in the past. Now everything falls under something that must be treated with the agenda plan, which in most cases is some sort of drug. We're building a society that is fatter, slower, dumber, and you see the results of this on a regular basis, right? Karen had go ahead and finish up, and guys, I'm going to try to make sure we cover all these questions that I've written down, but especially the next hour, I want to cover where, with this velocity of Agenda 21, of Iron Mountain, of the global takeover, of the New World Order. I want to talk about, where you think we're at in this plan and how quick it's going to develop from here. Dinah, my question, I guess, to you to take us out with about a minute to go in this first hour is the evolving disease level. It seems to be completely and totally out of control. Is that accurate?
Absolutely and totally out of control, and then some. Yes, no one is immune. And the thing is that the FDA, CDC, and EPA all want to tell you, and they want to convince the public that this is genetics. Oh, everybody is suffering from a genetic cascade of cancer, autism, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, all of these diseases. This is simply not true. It is absolutely not true. There is nothing genetic about it. We're all first-generation caseloads.
No doubt about it. Great timing. That's great timing. That's gonna take us to the break and get into the second hour.
Yeah.
Deborah, Dinah, I want to talk about. We painted a picture of how we were getting to this point. Here we are. I want to talk about what's coming next. And you know what? I don't want to sugarcoat it. No more elites. Let's talk about who's doing this. We're going to be back with Dinah Everett-Snyder, Deborah Tavares. Hang tight, guys. Next hour coming up here in just a few minutes.
Roads inside your market, your shops, your clothes. My dad, he's got a lot of fear, I know, but enough pride inside, nothing let that show. My brother had a book he would hold with pride, a little red cover with a broken spine on the back. He hand wrote a quote inside: when the rich wage war, it's the poor who die. Meanwhile, the leader just talks away, stuttering and mumbling for nightly news to replay. The rest of the world watching at the end of the day, both scared and angry, like what did he say?
Will 2012 bring the Mayan end of world or the global banking collapse? In 2007, one man, Mike Dillard, made 5 predictions which forecasted the 2008 economic crisis and the pending Eurozone collapse. This week, Mike unleashes 3 brand new, shocking, must-watch videos with predictions for the coming year. www.the3videos.com. Over the past year, Mike Dillard has helped thousands of ordinary people create and recover wealth by tapping into the black box investing strategies the big banks don't want you to know about. www.the3videos.com. As the European banking system implodes and governments collapse at breakneck speeds, the next 12 months will be the most anticipated and important months in modern human history. This will make 2008 look like a walk in the park. Everyone will be affected. Go to www.the3videos.com now. Learn how to prepare your family and prosper during the global financial collapse.
Hey there, my name is Frank Bates. What I'm about to tell you in the next 60 seconds could get me in a lot of trouble. I just created a free video presentation at 123rens.com that exposes the electricity monopolies and government agencies for what they really are: incompetent, lying crooks that are counting on your ignorance and fear to keep your power bills criminally high. Some have called this a conspiracy. Others have called it a cover-up, and you'll be shocked to find out how deep the conspiracy goes. My video at 123rens.com exposes the truth and shows you the secret of how I beat them and how you can beat them too. Watch the controversial video that thousands of other smart patriots have already seen in the last 3 months. Go to 123rens.com and discover one weird trick to slash your power bill and protect your home. Go watch my video now at 123rens.com before they force me to shut it down. Again, that's 123rense.com.
You're listening to the Rents Radio Network, nationwide and worldwide on the net and at rents.com.
All right, guys, welcome back to Wide Awake News Radio. I'm Charlie McGrath, your host, 23rd day of January, Wednesday. We continue our conversation with Deborah Tavares and Dinah Everett-Snyder. I was chatting with some of you guys in the chat room during the break, and I've written down all these questions, and I promise in the last half of this hour, I'll start throwing these out at the ladies and try to get you some answers to these questions. You know, one that I'm going to answer now, we were talking about in the chat room, is when's this all going to fall apart? I ended the last segment with, the notion that Deborah and Dinah have both done a great job showing us the plan, right? The plan and this time of transition. And I ended it with saying, I believe the transition is accelerating, and it's this velocity is amazing to witness. Now, somebody said that Max Kaiser's saying April, somebody else is saying October. Look, nobody really knows. It could be tomorrow, but I think one thing you can look at as an indicator, it's something that I look at, is the money. Look at the money. Look at the money. Look at the debt. This is, as far as I'm concerned, key to their plan of implementing this agenda that we've been talking about. And today, the House Republicans, the red team that has been crying that for years now that we need to get our spending under control. Again, same team, same players playing for the same elite, not the American people. Today, the Republicans decided to kick the can down the road by authorizing unlimited borrowing until the month of May. So I put May is when it all comes falling apart. Could happen tomorrow, could be a year from now, but I can tell you this, it is coming. And let's get into, Deborah, let's get into, we talked about the groundwork, we talked about things that are happening right now, but this velocity, this increase in the security state, this increase into our privacy, into monitoring everything, it is absolutely, completely out of control.
Well, there's absolutely no question. In fact, in some of my research that I have done for the Global Grid, I found a horrifying mission statement on the Carnegie Mellon website. And it says, a revolution in our infrastructure. Companies and institutions have a hidden secret. They are leading a revolution in our infrastructure. We want to help expose that secret to the world. Tomorrow's infrastructure will blend traditional physical infrastructure, transportation, transit systems, buildings, pipes, power grid, concrete and steel, with cyber infrastructure, computers, networks, and sensors in ways that are just emerging. This is a hidden secret that they're talking about. And they have organizations that they will leverage to highlight this hidden secret. And this is just unbelievable. They've been plotting. They even say it in their mission statements. But it is coming down because right now the smart meters are being deployed. This is a military deployment. Make no mistake about it. The Department of Energy is under the Navy. This is a military deployment. They bring in local police departments with guns so that the utility companies can deploy a biohazard on our homes. This is a military activity. And I can tell you, when you asked who's doing this, I can tell you when I look at who's behind this NASA war document, we're talking not only the minions in our local cities that are following lockstep to Agenda 21 agendas with grants and various monies that have strings, private-public partnerships. It's all taking us down locally. But all of our utilities also have signed on to the United Nations. They are all partnering with ICLEI, and the cities use data and different computer systems that are presented to them by ICLEI. It's a network. It's a maze. And when you look at the NASA document, you see who's behind that, some of which is the U.S. Air Force, DARPA, the CIA, the FBI, Southern Command, Atlantic Command, the Australian Department of Defense, and the list goes on. We have been completely subverted. And I will tell you, when this Iron Mountain report was done, Kennedy also said that we're opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. He said it was a system that has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. and they have it all pulled together, and it is happening to the United States right now. The Iron Mountain report talks about the FEMA camps, how how the grid has been narrowed down by zip code, how the satellites manage and watch and can even do planning. They can see if there's urban sprawl. This is all part of relocating and transitioning all of the population in the United States to the human settlement zones and moving us off our lands.
No doubt about it, and no doubt about it. And what we're waiting for is the Reichstag moment, right? We're waiting for, look, there's a reason why there's so much division in the world, not just the United States. There's a reason why there's so much division, so much violence, so much hostility. We are absolutely together on this planet, but we've never been farther apart as humanity. It is a divide and conquer, govern the planet by crisis, and this is the end result. We are sitting here looking at one another over ridiculous issues, while at the highest echelons of these families who make up the New World Order, they're doing everything possible to subvert representative government and to put it in their pocket. Now, I'm not saying, I agree with you, Deborah, that, the plans from the city, county, state, regional, and federal level is completely taken over. But a lot of these people are just duped into the feel-good jargon that has been sold.
Charlie, there's also there's a tremendous amount of mind control.
Yeah, absolutely.
This has been discussed for many, many years, and now with the deployment of the weaponized frequencies, they call it for better cell phone coverage, which are the antennas and the cell phone towers throughout our communities, all of the wireless. Again, I can't stress enough to go onto the website and look at Barry Trower's documentation along with thousands of other scientists. But I can only tell you, go to antennasearch.com and find out where those weapons are located nearest your home. They are being strung up along all of our major highways. This is like a wireless dog fence in our countries. It will preclude our ability to travel because in the NASA document they say they will use frequencies. It will cause seizures and heart attacks and brain inflammation and malfunction. They know this. Look at the NASA document. I cannot underscore that enough. They really lay out the technologies that they're going to unfold on us. And they're waiting. They're just waiting for a crisis to bring in martial law.
No, they're not waiting. They're not waiting. They're going to cut it loose.
They're going to create it.
Absolutely.
Right. They're not waiting. They're absolutely. Charlie, when you say how is this going to unfold, and you bring in the whole financial and monetary thing, I have to tell you that I really believe from the research that I've done and talking to the people that I've talked to that all of those things are distractions. This whole gun control thing, the shooting of children on school campuses, voting yes or no on GMOs in our food chain, all of these things are distractions. Yeah. The feet on the ground are moving relentlessly forward. It is an absolute joke to think that we can take GMOs out of the food chain. As a perfect example, California, this is something California was able to vote on, and supposedly the measure failed.
Hold on one sec. Brett, can we skip this break? Can we just go through till 27 after? Thank you. I appreciate it. Danik, please continue. Let me jump in. The economic thing. Just being a distraction. I agree with it with you on one point that the crisis of the fiscal cliff, the crisis of the debt ceiling, these things are a distraction. Because the determination has already been made. We're going to keep using debt as a weapon, as a tool, and that is what's so important about the economic front is it is being used as one of the largest terrorist activities, terrorist weapons in the history of humanity were all being linked together. It doesn't matter if you're listening to me in Europe, Eastern Europe, if you're listening in Asia, we are being drawn together under this umbrella of sovereign debt, and this will be one of the catalyst events that is used to implement all this this pre-talked about agenda. Go ahead, Dinah.
Well, that's exactly right.
There's
all of our wealth is...
plenty of money.
Oh, hold on. Go ahead, Dinah.
There's plenty of money. It's just not available for you, me, and all the other little people on the planet. There's plenty of money. You have to only but look at any government organization. We talked to, Deborah mentioned DARPA. DARPA has an incredible budget. Then you look at some of the Institute of Pacific Relations, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Royal Institute of International Affairs. All of these organizations have at their disposal enormous amounts of money. You look at the Genome Project that I'm very familiar with the Genome Project. I volunteered and I worked there for some time until it got closed to the public and I wouldn't sign the disclosure and documentation, and so, I walked away. But they have unlimited resources, not from just the U.S. government, but from all the governments of the world. And all of that research is now closed to the public. And it's closed to a lot of the scientific community as well. But their budget is enormous. All of these companies and organizations, you look at Monsanto, Syngenta, DuPont, you look at the oil companies and the way that they're subsidized and they don't pay taxes and they have deferred payments. And, it's all this kicking the can down the road and taking care of their CEOs and having unlimited spending potential at the expense of people and healthcare and education. Those are the primary things. So we can talk about the fact that, yes, we're being drawn into this together as a global community. We owe the money, but who do we owe the money to? And it is coming crashing down, but it is one enormous distraction because while all this is going on, if you look at all the aluminum and barium salts that's being rained down through chemtrails, and obviously it doesn't matter where you spray it in the world, ultimately it's going to spread across the entire world, but all the UN countries have signed up for it, and they're all doing it, so it's blanketed the ionosphere of the entire world. And
hello?
Dinah, do we still have you?
I think we just lost her. Well,
I think
to that, we know how HAARP is involved with the beaming of frequencies in that plasma that the chemtrails are providing. We know that is an increased frequency, artificial frequency, for us in our brains. We know that weather modification, we can see they have absolute control of the weather. On every single front. They can direct it, steer it, cause what happened on the eastern seaboard, hit the Mississippi, take out our crops, dump water, put us into drought, you name it. The control is enormous. So where do we go with that? Where do we go with that? They control the weather.
And the not funny thing about it is, but the fact of the matter is, that statement, unfortunately, that they control the weather. They being, the scientific juggernaut that is these massive corporations that are overwhelming in control of everyday life, everyday legislation is being passed, every day of governance. If you came out and said to most people, right, most of the people that we've talked about that are in the larger, fatter, slower, dumber by design, and you said that statement, they would think you're absolutely out of your mind. Even though Deborah, you could take them and hold their hand, give them the information, show them where this agenda has been thought out in the past and is going forward now, and they still won't believe you. Hitler said, if you want a populace to believe a lie, make it a big enough lie that they absolutely couldn't question it. And the lie that's being perpetrated on the people of the world right now is that we are A, we're running out of resources. B, we're running out of space. C, we're running out of the ability to govern oneself. And D, we must turn to them for guidance and for as our saviors. Go ahead.
Well, what is also true, Charlie, is that unfortunately so many people are already so sick from all the intentional poisoning that has been delivered to them. We've got the fluoride in the water supply. We've got the mercury in the toxic energy-efficient light bulbs that is not only killing our trash haulers that are picking up these broken lights. Mercury is so highly toxic, it's ending up in our landfills, in our water supply, the GMO seed, all this toxic dumping from the air, every kind of pollutant imaginable in our food supply. Unfortunately, with the amounts of frequencies, the amounts of overhead aerial spraying that we have actually seen intensify over the last probably 6 to 8 months, it has gotten extremely heavy. We're hearing from people all over the country that are now actually complaining that they're aware they're sick because of the chemtrailing and the amount of the increased amount of chemtrailing, because they're dumping everything imaginable up on us. It's amazing that we're all still managing to function. But what I can tell you, as far as what their goals are right now, and the big
before we do that, we have Dinah back on, and
oh great,
you talk about chemtrails and the people that are becoming more and more sick. Look, I do this program, almost every night of the week. Some people are going to point out that I'm occasionally gone for work or whatnot. But listen, the people that I've talked to over the last 2 years in doing this, that are on this topic, have all seen an increase. Our audience has seen an increase. Everybody that I talk to has seen an increase in friends, family, loved ones, coworkers who are becoming sick. And they're staying sick. You know, it isn't a coincidence that we're being pumped full of these stories about the flu and how it's going to be a pandemic, and how it's because this is happening. People are being made sick in droves, and they're not getting healthy. And when they go to look for help, what do? They get pharmaceutical. They get pumped full of one drug after another to keep them infirm. And in a lot of cases, they're just not surviving this, Dinah.
No, this whole aluminum toxicity thing. So we have all this aluminum and barium salts that's descending on us. And here in the Bay Area, I live outside of San Francisco, there's a direct correlation between what my patients are calling and saying, I feel like I'm coming down with the flu, and they're giving me all these symptoms. And if I document the amount of chemtrails and all the crisscrosses in the sky, I know that within about 3 days, I'm going to be inundated with phone calls from people who think they're coming down with the flu. And so I constantly post on Facebook, and I constantly leave voicemails on my phone for people to let them know. If you feel like you are coming down with the flu, please don't rush out and get a flu vaccine. It's toxic. You don't need it. You don't have flu. You have aluminum toxicity. And this is what it is. And people are not recovering. Even when their symptoms subside, they continue to have unusual throat swelling, painful muscles. Just the cascade of issues is unbelievable. But going back to something else, I was talking earlier before I got cut off. Another thing with aluminum in our skies is it comes down. And Mount Shasta snow was recently tested, and it has 60,000 parts per million of aluminum in it. In 2004, it had less than 20 parts per million. 20 parts per million in 2004, 60,000 parts per million in 2012. The only source for that is what is being rained down on us.
That's exactly right. In fact, there is a movie that shows the data that you're speaking about called What in the World Are They Spraying? And that's posted on our site, toxicsky.org. And they show those actual lab reports that you're referencing right now.
And then we talk about GMOs, and we get so excited as poor little people that we can possibly vote something like that, into oblivion. However, if you go to the U.S. Patent Office, Monsanto, Syngenta, and DuPont own the most patents on aluminum-resistant seeds. So ultimately, there is going to come a time where we can plant our heirloom seeds and they're not going to grow because
That's
the
right.
soil is so full of aluminum, and it has changed the pH of the soil to such a degree that the roots simply cannot grow, and we will have no choice but to buy these genetically modified seeds.
No, we're there.
The aluminum
we are there.
We are there. We're about there. Ladies, hold on a second.
Most people don't understand
wait a minute. Hold on a sec. Dana, hold on a sec. I got to take this break. I skipped the last one. We're going to be back with this panel, this absolutely informative, intriguing conversation. We'll continue on the backside of this break. We'll be right back.
Charlie McGrath of Wide Awake News here. You know, when it comes to freeze-dried, storable food, there's a lot of companies you can choose from. So please, allow me to introduce you to the best. Buy Emergency Foods Legacy Premium is hands down the best in the industry. They're the only company that is 100% certified GMO-free. They're the only company that has 0 MSGs. They have no artificial flavors, and they're the only company that puts an oxygen absorber into every nitrogen-flushed Mylar pouch. And coming in at about $3,900 for a year's supply, they're the best value in the industry at about half the going rate. Guys, Legacy Premium truly stands alone as the best freeze-dried storable food on the market, plain and simple. But don't take my word for it. Call them yourself at 888-543-7345. The number again, 888-543-7345. Or view their comparable charts today at buyemergencyfoods.com.
You're listening to Charlie nationwide and worldwide on the internet on the Rinse Radio Network.
Most Americans are simply rolling over to the ruthless Orwellian surveillance state video cams that now watch nearly our every move. But now, thanks to the brand new Justice Caps, there is a way to reclaim at least some of your constitutional right to privacy. Whenever you wear your good-looking Justice Cap, you become essentially invisible to all surveillance cams. This new technology enables anybody to defeat Big Brother's cams and conceal your facial identity in plain sight. You can now decide who sees your face on camera and begin to live free again. Join us in the move to reclaim our Constitution and take a look at the remarkable, completely legal new technology at justicecaps.com. That's justicecaps.com.
Heart-related health problems affect millions of people each year. Maybe you're one of the many who suffer from issues related to angina pain, high blood pressure, congestive heart failure, unbalanced cholesterol, irregular heartbeat, or clogged arteries. There is a solution that doesn't involve expensive prescription drugs that only mask the problem and leave you with horrible side effects. If you are ready to live your life free of sickness, pain, and fear, live your life with increased vitality, energy, and youthfulness, and experience your body healing itself, then you're ready for Heart and Body Extract from Healthy Hearts Club. Heart and Body Extract has a 23-year proven track record of using certified organic herbs that make up an excellent formula to balance and support the heart and circulatory system. In as little as 2 weeks, you can feel amazing results when your 2-month supply of Heart and Body Extract today. Call 1-866-295-5305 or go to hbextract.com.
Welcome back to Wide Awake News Radio. Charlie McGrath, joined by Deborah Tavares, Dinah Everett-Snyder, talking about, pretty much the enslavement of humanity and the reduction of humanity. And we're going to continue this conversation. I said that I would throw some of these questions at you guys during this last half hour. And I'm going to throw this first one out to Dinah. Because I don't really know how to preface it, because it's just a straight up question. Is our military being trained to kill their own neighbors? Right? Are they willing to come back and pull the trigger on American citizens? And I guess if you were going to preface that, it would be this agenda unfolds, a crisis event occurs, be it you name it, political, economic, natural disaster, man-made disaster. Where we unleash the military and the security forces that have been in the military's case, I called it Generation Kill almost 2 hours ago, because if you were born if you've grown up in this last generation, all you've known is killing, the rationalization of killing, the lies in order to facilitate killing. It's become so commonplace in our society, we don't even question it anymore. We don't question if we're being lied to going to war in one nation or another. We don't question how long we're going to be in Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Iran. It doesn't really matter, because there's going to be some titillating pop culture event that occurs that'll distract us long enough. But the question is, as this agenda unfolds more and more rapidly, do you, from what your experience has been in working with veterans, are they being engineered or at least desensitized to the point that they would pull the trigger on American citizens in order, just following orders? Go ahead.
Yeah, that's a really tough question. I'll tell you that working with the current crop of PTSD sufferers, I can definitely see that they're not psychologically weak, but they're morally strong. They come home and they start questioning, and the crisis, it's a crisis of faith. It's a crisis of faith in everything that they have believed and everything that they've trained for and everything that they've done as a soldier overseas. And so when you ask me a question like that, it's extremely multifaceted and extremely difficult to answer. But you only have to look at everything that's happened since Benghazi. All the admirals and real top guys that have been relieved of command, and the vast majority of them have gone very silently past the media. There hasn't, Petraeus was the one that got caught in the spotlight, but there have been 11 or 12 others that have been very silently relieved of command. And there's a real consensus that they were relieved of command because ultimately it was shown that they would not be able to command their men at home. And within the military, there was a lot of questions that went out and were batted around. And it was discovered that only 15% of the soldiers would, under what were deemed qualifying circumstances, be able to come home and shoot on a neighbor. And we don't know exactly what those questions were, but regardless of what it was, it's only 15%. So there's an idea that by changing the command chain, they're somehow going to rally those numbers. But then you look at all the Chinese and the Russians that have been on American soil training alongside U.S. soldiers, U.S. police departments in Colorado, in Kentucky, all over the place. Those are the two really big ones. And you have to ask yourself, why are those guys really here? And it's been an ongoing program for years. And there's a lot of military, a lot of returned veterans that are asking the same questions. Who are these guys? Who's funding them? And why are they being shown not only our tactics, but why are they being taught to use our equipment here?
No doubt about it.
On urban streets.
Well, no doubt about it. And let's kick it over to Deborah, because she's going to tell us. I'm telling you, there's a reason why the MIAC report came out and said that a returning veteran could be a potential domestic terrorist, because these guys are going over and they're seeing the carnage, they're seeing the bloodshed, and they realize that they're being lied to. They realize, we could be lied to here in the pop culture because we don't have the blood physically on our hands. We don't have our guts of our friend hanging before us. We don't see, the barbarism that's happening in these nations to these nationals across the pond. But these folks do. So when they question it, they're going to be labeled as a potential threat. Go ahead.
Well, that's absolutely true. In fact, in the Iron Mountain report, when you're about 2 hours into the report, the document, you will see how they're setting up the blood games, how they're socializing all of us to become accustomed to seeing kills by police officers and it being considered legal, like the Branch Davidian, like the Weaver case, the family that was shot, the wife and the baby a number of years ago. All of this is slowly seeking into our culture. They're seeing how far they can push the deliberate killing of Americans on American soil. We have the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, which gives them the right to do that. I personally spoke with a police officer that scratched his head, and he said the worst thing coming forward to him is what is he going to do when he's told to take the guns. And we can see on the video during Hurricane Katrina that they went house to house and demanded the firearms. They were already taking guns from areas that were not even affected by the hurricane. So, yes, we are going to. That is why they're federalizing our police departments. That's why they're moving everything from a local level to federalizing, to disconnect the people from the citizens so that they can get the globalized force that the Iron Mountain report says they will get, and it will be under the United Nations. And this is going to happen. When you read the report, you see the resolutions that have been adopted to take our guns away, and you will see the method in which they're going to do it incrementally, and they have been already starting to do it. And as far as our police shooting on on citizens, I think that what they're doing is they're bringing in UN troops. They've got FinCEN, which is a multifaceted jurisdictional group that will come in and oversee with the black helicopters, all the black clothing. We're going to see a transition into the United Nations, and all of this is going to be called for the golden time of peace. And
no doubt about it.
And peace in the Iron Mountain report is absolute hell.
It's again selling a notion, selling an idea the same way that your local government can be caught up in the entire Agenda 21 is because it sounds good. Peace sounds great, right? The peace that they're talking about isn't peace. It isn't humanity moving forward together. It's humanity being enslaved. And you talk about these foreign troops and foreign nationals coming over here to enforce this agenda. Probably necessary because there's going to be enough folks who, especially on this gun grab, who are going to stand up and say enough is enough. That'd rather take to the streets and commence in the combat than they would to give up the last vestiges of what was guaranteed inalienable rights in the Constitution. But we do have, unfortunately, after years now of watching, SWAT units show up with AR-15s, M16s, M4s, full battle dress to evict a 90-year-old woman because she was foreclosed on by a too-big-to-fail institution. There is far too many that are in law enforcement that don't care, right? They're the minions. They think they got part of the they got part of the game behind them because they're serving this system. So it's unfortunate, but it's a fact. The proof is bearing that out, that there is not enough thinking individuals who are willing to, like the policeman you were talking about, who says, I don't know what I'm going to do when I'm ordered to take these guns.
Well, Charlie, we have a bigger picture to be concerned about, and that's this NASA war strategy. And on page 93, this is what it says.
Hold up. I ran a little bit long there. Deb, we're going to take a break. We'll be back with Deborah Tavares, Dinah Everett-Snyder, more Wide Awake News Radio. You know what, ladies? In the last segment, I want to know what to do from a medical standpoint to fight some of this. I want to know what to do from an informational standpoint, Deborah, to fight some of this. We're going to be back. Deborah Tavares, Dinah Everett-Snyder. Hang tight.
Hey guys, Charlie McGrath here at WideAwakeNews.com, and I'm here to tell you I believe that Chris and the folks over at SeedsNow.com offer the best product at the best prices with the best service of anybody in the market. But don't take my word for it. Listen to what some of their customers have to say. Joshua in Florida writes, exceeded my expectations. Shipping was prompt and a number of my plants are already starting to sprout. Thanks for being great. And Ryan in California writes, I just received my homestead seed bank, my all-in-one prepper pack, and seed-to-seed storage and growing guidebook, and I could not be more pleased. Thanks, Seeds Now. Now I can start growing and get off the GMOs. Keep up the great work. And the list goes on and on. Guys, it's time to make SeedsNow.com an integral part of your long-term preparedness strategy. Please call them at 877-344-4669. That number again, 877-344-4669. 4669, or better yet, visit them today at seedsnow.com.
If you're taking 1, 2, 5, or more nutritional supplements, please stop. Simplify your supplementation with Bio Superfood, the most advanced nutritional whole food supplement you can buy. Men, women, children, even Olympic athletes the world over have discovered Bio Superfood from BioAge.com. And now take just one nutritional supplement instead of many. The Bio Superfood formulas are whole food products composed with 4 of the most nutrient-dense algae found on Earth. Bio Superfood for the brain helps with focus, memory, clarity, and mood. If you can increase brain health, the rest of the body is a no-brainer. Bio Superfood has 0 toxicity and is safe for you and your family. Learn more and order your Bio Superfood formulas at BioAge.com, spelled BIOAGE.com, BioAge.com, or call 877-288-9116. That's 877-288-9116. BioAge, the age of advanced organics.
Are you or someone that you love struggling to reclaim your health? My name is Matthew David Hurtado, CEO of RNADrops.com. In 2008, I struggled with chronic fatigue syndrome, PTSD, and Lyme's. I thought that all hope was gone as I lost everything in the process. In 2009, a miracle happened. I discovered Ion and RNA drops. 2 months after taking RNA drops, the chronic fatigue and the PTSD had vanished into thin air. I'd like to invite you to discover RNA drops by visiting www.rnafreemini.com today. That's rnafreemini.com today. Listen to hours of testimonials and get a free trial bottle. Pay only shipping and handling by visiting www.rnafreemini.com.
Or give us a call at 1-888-550-8231. That's 888-550-8231. Hurry, supplies are limited.
Make a promise, take a vow, trust your feelings, it's easy now. Understand the voice within and feel it change.
Ladies and gentlemen, I was going to say, ladies, let's get back into it. But welcome back to the final segment of Wide Awake News Radio. If you're listening, I saw this in the chat room. If you're listening and you're wondering if you missed part of this interview, and somebody had asked if I'm going to put this up on YouTube later, the answer is absolutely yes. However, Gary's not with us tonight, so it will not be up 2 hours after the program. It won't be up until probably tomorrow morning, about 6 a.m. Mountain Time. 8 a.m. Eastern Time. So if you missed part of this and you want to hear the whole thing, which is very, very much worth going to the YouTube channel tomorrow and playing this over again.
Charlie, I wanted to just jump in and add a few things that people need to do immediately to reduce the frequencies that are being directed in their homes.
Please do. That's where I wanted to go.
Yeah, through their house wiring, we're getting increased transient frequencies, and people are getting very, very sick from those additional frequencies. This was actually a test that was done in Oregon in the mid-'70s when the Russians were beaming in on a city called Medford, Oregon. And people, within a 48-hour period, there were a couple of dozen people that committed suicide because the frequencies create that kind of dysfunction with your brain. And you can buy a Stepzerizers. It's a Graham Stetzer, Stetzer, and they plug into your outlets and they send back the transient frequencies. We've had tremendous success with that. Another very, very important thing, if you're near a cell phone tower, you can put screens on your windows in the areas where you are most in your homes and ground them. Remember once when we all had wire screens and now they all went to fiberglass? Well, there's a reason for that. The low frequencies are easily able to get now through your windows. So you can put screens over your windows. You've got to get off of mattress box spring beds. Get into a bed that does not have metal in it, because all the metal, including underwire bras, etc., even the stays in men's shirt collars near their necks, conduct the frequency. So you've got to remove the nighttime frequency problem. I know that many people are complaining of buzzing of the ears. We've found that if people wear earplugs, that helps a bit because the frequencies seem to really be increasing at night, and it is impeding people's ability to get their deep REM sleep, and they're not getting the level of rest that they need, and this is jamming our immune system, and that is in the NASA document. They talk about jamming our immune systems with dumping so much stuff on it that we just are not able to recover.
Boy, and that, again, goes back to the last 2 years of hearing, one story after another of symptomatic illness, or illness that, displays the symptoms that you're talking about. Dinah, how? I mean, what can we do? As far as what you've seen, I know that your treatment has been extremely successful. What are you recommending people to do to try to combat this? And to both of you, we combat it to what end? I mean, how can we get out of this when it is so overwhelming? Dinah, go ahead and answer that first as far as what you recommend to do, especially aluminum, the chemtrail spraying. And then, ladies, look, what can we do to get out of this if it's so encompassing? Dinah, go ahead.
Well, the first thing that I always recommend is stop the pharmaceuticals. Stop putting anything that's chemical in your mouth. So that means no vaccination, no antibiotics, no statins, nothing, no pharmaceuticals. There are superb supplements and vitamins available that do exactly the same thing with none of the adverse effects and fallouts for your health. Of course, stay away from GMO foods. It's quite difficult, and there's a lot to learn about it. But definitely no fast foods, no metabolic sports drinks, no sodas, no processed foods, no refined white flours. It's not easy to eliminate all those things because they're so widespread and we've become so accustomed to them that it's very overwhelming for people. But that's a good start. The other thing is we are all of us, enormously magnesium deprived. So without question, every single person that's listening to the show, Charlie, including yourself, you need to take a magnesium supplement. We need to take glutathione and melatonin at night. Our bodies and our brains need it. We need to increase our omegas, coconut oil capsules, good olive oils, things like that. It's with nutrition. Nutrition is the answer to a lot of our health problems.
No doubt about it. I've received great advice from you in the past, as well as Sherry Edwards and others who've come onto the program. And, my health situation, I'm not going to get into the whole thing right now, but changing my nutrition has truly turned the corner as far as my ability to come on even and do this program, because, you get wrapped up in any medical event now, and it inevitably ends up with you're just bombarded with one drug after another to counter the effect of the drug you took yesterday. So I have no doubt that you're right. I want to give your website out one more time before we run out of time here. It is DinahEverettSnyder.wordpress.com. Devil's in the details, guys. If you haven't read this report or this work, if you have a military member, ex-military member, or current in your family, or a friend or whatever, read this, understand what she's done to help these people. It's a topic that's very near and dear to me, for sure. Deborah, same question to you. Agenda 21, Iron Mountain, the New World Order. It's happening. It's happening, and it's if you're awake at all, you cannot deny it. What are you doing to fight this? What can we do to fight this?
Yeah, the only thing we can do is call in on talk radios, get on shows like this one tonight with you, have flyers on every single site that we have. We have flyers that people can download, half-sheet flyers. We carry them in our purses, our cars. We have magnetic signs. We are the media, period. And we have large magnetic signs we put on our vehicles. They're about the size of for sale signs, giving out websites and information. I cannot tell you all the thumbs up that people are giving. We've got dozens of cars throughout Northern California that have these signs. And we put, toxicsky.org, look up, fluoride, all these issues with websites. And people are becoming aware. This is our job right now. We have to follow right conduct, and we have to, in my opinion, we have to alert as many people as possible, those that are ready. Most people are recognizing that something is terribly, terribly wrong. And quite frankly, they're really happy to see or to start to know what it is. Because we're at a point right now where we're being subverted from a higher consciousness. Our pineal gland is being attacked. We are being absolutely held down by these Illuminati elites that are intent on killing the majority of the population. And so we have to get the information out. That is my biggest work right now, my effort. I feel that this is our responsibility now to work on this, because the media has been treasonous and we've been mightily betrayed on every level.
Yeah, the media doesn't exist, right? It's a for-profit entity that will do everything possible to keep generating that profit, and if that means selling out every.
That's absolutely true. And in the NASA document, they say that they will exploit the CNN syndrome to cause massive psychological damage to the population. So I encourage everyone to know what is happening, what is going to happen, so that you don't live in fear, so you get out of fear. That's a very, very important piece right there, is to come to terms with where we are now and know that it's a mighty force that we're engaged, that is engaged against us at this point. And
you guys both have my utmost respect. I consider you sisters in this. And what you're doing is great, from both points of view. Waking people up, both of you are doing that. Dinah, you're going out there and you're trying to counter some of these effects. The point I'm at in this whole fight, this whole struggle, this whole awakening process and trying to wake others up, is this almost quickening that we're in now. I'm really starting to look at. Where do we go? I mean, is it the Northwest Territories where there's, one person for every 1,000 square miles? Is it the Rocky Mountain states? Are you guys implementing any kind of plan or seeing any kind of trigger events that will make you implement some kind of plan to try to protect, the ones nearest and dearest to you? I'm going to kick that to Dinah since Deborah, you just.
Where are you going to go? It's everywhere.
That's right.
Absolutely everywhere. We talk about the land grab in this country. It was first tried in Africa many years ago. I'm from South Africa, so I was brought up under colonial rule. South Africa,
as we all are,
independent in 1965, but nothing changed. And the land grab there was essentially brought on under the premise of keeping intact huge tracts of land from north to south and east to west for animal migration. And under the auspices of that, all these tribes and farmers were moved off the land. And a lot of what we see today as tribal warfare in these African countries is the direct result of having moved people off their tribal lands into the lands of other people.
Sure.
So, a lot of Americans go, oh, this could never happen here. This is America. We're protected by our Constitution.
No, we're not.
Go and look up the Quigley formula. The Quigley formula. The late Carroll Quigley he was part of the Council of Foreign Affairs, and he was a historian. And he coined the phrase, the Quigley formula. It's a condition of bondage where people vote for their own dictator, and they feel happy about it because they did it. Bingo. This is the Republicans and the Democrats. People have to be able to move beyond this. There is no such thing as Democrat and Republican. It's gladiator games. It's cheap for people entertainment. That's all it is. Turn the TV off. If you can homeschool your kids, start homeschooling your kids. A lot of school districts have partial school programs so that you can start influencing what your children are being exposed to. It's one of the biggest things that people in my sphere have done and seen huge results with. But in terms of, what are we actually going to do if suddenly black helicopters are flying overhead and, trucks are rolling into town?
Right.
There is nowhere to run. This is the point to stand and fight.
Stand and fight. I agree.
Rock and load, baby.
The more I mull these options, I mean, that is the end goal. Dinah EverettSnyder.wordpress.com and StopTheCrime.net. Ladies, and Deb, I know you have more sites to go, but primary site, StopTheCrime.net. Ladies, I can't thank you enough for coming on here and spending 2 hours with me tonight. I know how much of a sacrifice that is and how tiring it is. We'll get you back on again real soon. Please keep up the fight. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy Jeffrey. He's coming up next tomorrow night. Eric Lovely with Pastor Dal and John Rubino on the second hour. Have a good night. True peace, not the stuff that's being sold to us as peace. I wish everybody listening right now true peace. Good night.
Coming year. www.the3videos.com. Over the past year, Mike Dillard has helped thousands of ordinary people create and recover wealth by tapping into the black box investing strategies the big banks don't want you to know about. www.the3videos.com. As the European banking system implodes and governments collapse at breakneck speeds, the next 12 months will be the most anticipated and important months in modern human history. This will make 2008 look like a walk in the park. Everyone will be affected. Go to www.the3videos.com now. Learn how to prepare your family and prosper during the global financial collapse.
Hey there, my name is Frank Bates. What I'm about to tell you in the next 60 seconds could get me in a lot of trouble. I just created a free video presentation at 123rens.com that exposes the electricity monopolies and government agencies for what they really are. Incompetent, lying crooks that are counting on your ignorance and fear to keep your power bills criminally high. Some have called this a conspiracy. Others have called it a cover-up. And you'll be shocked to find out how deep the conspiracy goes. My video at 123rens.com exposes the truth and shows you the secret of how I beat them and how you can beat them too. Watch the controversial video that thousands of other smart patriots have already seen in the last 3 months. Go to 123rens.com and discover one weird trick to slash your power bill and protect your home. Go watch my video now at 123rens.com before they force me to shut it down. Again, that's 123rense.com.
You're listening to the Rense Radio Network, nationwide and worldwide on the net and at rense.com.